E, that mustache is looking super legit, dude. How would you rate your mustache compared to your cohorts on the staff?
It's coming in, but I don't think I'm anything close to all those other guys. They're a little bit more manly than mine.
But have they competed in MMA?
No, I can probably beat them all up.
Would be the quickest win. No, just kidding. How's camp going so far? Because you guys have put a bow on technically fall camp. How did you feel it went? What did you learn?
I thought camp was good, from the defense perspective. We've got a lot of players that can contribute on the defensive side, which we're going to need. We've got a lot of experience coming back. Stayed healthy on the defensive side, which was huge for us during fall camp, but got the work that we needed. And we're at the point now where we're tired of beating up on each other and we're ready to go play somebody else.
What's the greatest pro of having as much experience as you have on the defense? Because I think this might be the most experienced BYU team of all time because of COVID. You just have so many guys that you've been working with for several years.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, having the experience, obviously across the whole team, it's great to have all that returning power on the offensive side, but on defense, it gives us an opportunity to just stay deep. It's that's one of the things that's just through the years starts to really get you. And last year was an example of it. I mean, depending on the year, you hope you can stay healthy, but if you're losing anybody, things change, and the way that you game plan change, and the way that you want to try to stop people changes. And so having this much depth, having this much experience for us to be able to play all the different schemes that we think we need to play to win, and not have to not have to check certain things just because we feel like we may not be able to do it, has been great. I mean, we've got the depth that we feel like we need right now at this point in the season, but we've also got a lot of players that have a lot of experience, that have been in games, that are familiar with the system, know the language, and just giving us snaps, throughout the season. So I think it's been really exciting for us to get all that.
Last year was so incredible. There were so many amazing wins, right? The UAB game, you're pretty beat up at the end there, but let's be honest, in the future, that's where you want to be ready to win a massive game, hopefully in a New Year's Six and a Big 12 championship game, right? What is it going to take to get to the point where in game 12 and 13, or I guess it might even be 13 and 14 one day, that you have the depth that you want should there be injuries? Because, hey, this is football.
Yeah, it's it's a great question, and really any team, every single team that you look at, right? It's all kind of relative to who you are and the type of players that you've got in your team. But even when a national championship team like Georgia or Alabama, Ohio State, and when they lose, a key player on the offensive side or defensive side, it changes them a little bit, right? And so for us, if we can stay healthy, I mean, it just gives us an opportunity to compete. And like you were saying, last year, 3 games left in the season, and we were really running on fumes and just trying to figure out ways to win games. And the offense did a great job, just especially in the last part of the season, just kind of carrying us and scoring points and just scratching and clawing our way as a team, trying to find wins. And so last year was just tough. I felt like going into the USC game we were really running on fumes and found a way to win, and the offense did a great job with that one. And UAB game was a little bit different. I thought that there were other elements to the game besides the injuries that we as a coaching staff, myself as a coordinator, felt like should have done a better job at doing, like motivating. And I thought was probably the biggest thing is just motivating them to, you're almost set up all year to play in a pretty cool bowl, and then you go to one that maybe you feel like you deserved a better one. And I felt like that entitlement, probably trickled from the top down for myself to the players. And so getting the players in a better mindset is where I really felt like I failed as a coordinator. Felt like didn't do a good enough job inspiring them to play ball when we needed to play. And take that one on me, and feel like we'll come back this next year and be ready to give it another go.
And I don't want to linger on the UAB game because there were 6 Power 5 wins there. You know what I mean? But it is interesting because the goals of this program starting next year are to win a Big 12 title. And in game 13, you've got to be your best, which is tough given, how deep you can be. Because with the transfer portal, it's tough because you can't have like a legit 3 sitting there that isn't anxious to play. You know what I mean? If they're not in the top 2, they may bounce. So it's hard to really get that depth because people want to play. So in terms of what you have this year, obviously you have a ton of experience. Does that change the way you call plays in game and or prepare, knowing, okay, we have people who have been there, who know the calls, as you mentioned, who have been in the fights? How does that change anything for you compared to where maybe some of your backups would be RMs you have to throw in the mix, which is not the case this year?
Yeah, it does. It does change the way that you call it. And this fall camp, has been really good for us as a defense to really, figure out who we are and where we're at. And, the biggest thing with defenses is, can you play man? Can you play man coverage? Can you play quarters coverage, which is really a lot more aggressive than man coverage? And can you do it consistently? Do you have to, how many changeups do you need in it? So like the Virginia game, for instance, right? We went in with a game plan to go a lot of man coverage and just had a couple changeups. Well, that was a weird game because we were up 21-0 in the first quarter, but the TV, the ESPN people hadn't flipped over, and so we were still not a televised game. And so the refs were at the, they were trying to just hurry the game up, and we were going fast, and felt like we got to the point where we were still schematically playing a lot of the same coverages. We were playing a lot of man, but physically and with our depth, we weren't there yet. We weren't at the point where we can continue to play man. Me as a coordinator should have saw that and said, you know what, let's throw more changeups in it now because we're going fast. There's no timeouts. There's no TV timeouts. The offense is scoring in 1 or 2 plays. We're back out on the field. And we started to see that in the second quarter where we were playing with a lot of bad technique because of fatigue and playing with a lot of bad, really just calls by my part. There's a lot more aggression in situations where we probably just should have said, hey, let's back it up a little bit, make them earn it. Let's get ourselves back in. Zones give you time to catch up. But it wasn't until halftime when we came back and made that adjustment and played a little bit better in the second half. But that second quarter was the wild, wild west, man. That was crazy.
That was a 5 Coke night for me. I had that many in the press box. Okay, for all you drop 8 haters, that wins the Virginia game, as we've talked about. But I'm a drop 8 proponent, especially given the way the secondary is played, which brings me to this. Caleb Hayes had an incredible interview with Spencer on Saturday. It was great. He addressed being Black and not a member of the church at BYU and how great this place is, the secondary, his personal goals. He feels like this secondary could be one of the best in BYU history. Now, obviously, he said, hey, we got to go out and prove it.
Yeah.
But how confident are you in their abilities, Caleb Hayes and D'Angelo Mandel and Jacob Robinson now at corner and Gabe Judy Lally? It feels like that's a pretty talented group right now.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's changed for us this fall camp, where really never felt like we were at a point where we needed to have a change up. It was like, okay, we're really playing pedal to the metal, full throttle right now, and it's because Coach Guilford's switching out the corners, and we're still, and that's one thing that I always check, right? Like, hey, G, just let me know if we need a change up. Let me know if your guys are tired. It's can you play cover 0? Can you play man coverage? Can you keep the pedal to the metal? When do you need change ups? And there's always schematical things. I mean, nobody ever goes out there and keeps the pedal to the metal for the full 60 minutes. I mean, it's just that you don't play football like that, or else you're going to end up getting a couple of interceptions, a couple of sacks, and you're going to give up 60. You know what I mean? It's just there's just schemes to the way that you do things, and there's tactics to it too. But never felt as we were in this fall camp that Coach Guilford ever gave me the, hey, we're going to need a couple snaps here. It was just one guy after another and just switch them in, and we've got freshmen in there that are getting reps, and they may be running the wrong coverage, but they're like stride for stride running with the really good receivers. And so I feel like we've got that athleticism right now. Just we got to get the couple of the young guys to give us some snaps. If we can get 1 or 2 or 3 of those freshman corners that can really give us snaps sometime during this year, maybe the last half of the year, with catching up and understanding college ball and schemes, that'll prepare us for a really good future for the secondary next year and the following year and the year after that.
We're talking to defensive coordinator Iliasa Tuiaki. He could probably beat you up in your heyday, no matter who you are.
That's right.
As an MMA guy.
That's right.
Teach me more about defense here. You mentioned quarters is more aggressive than man. What's more aggressive about quarters than man?
Okay. So in quarters, okay, in quarters you've got no safeties deep. It's everybody's man to man all across the board. You're set up to be a little bit more aggressive in the run, where you've got all your backers responding to the run, and you're better off in the QB run game. But corners are on their own. They're on their own island, and they've got no help. Safeties are on their own. Sometimes safeties are covering a slot on their own with no help. And that's scary. That's scary for a safety. But our safeties, Ammon, Micah, have done a really good job just in the times that we choose to do that. They're playing really aggressively right now. Man coverage is, you're always going to have a post player. And so that post player is not responsible for a man. He's responsible for the post. And so when you're a corner covering on the outside, that, that, okay, I've got help on the inside with the backers because I got a hole player, and I've got help at the post. So I can play a little bit more aggressive to the fade. I can play a little bit stickier on the outside of the receiver, just knowing that I have help on the inside. I can funnel everything to the inside. But quarters isn't like that. Quarters is like, okay, you're on your own. We'll try to help you if we can, but good luck. And we played a lot of that this fall, and we played a lot of that in 2016, and we've kind of done it, 2017 when we only won 4 games, but felt like we played LSU pretty hard. But that was the game where we just weren't very good that year as a team. But anyways, we played quarters that year. We played some good defense, but just in other instances, you start to get exposed. Now it's like you're giving up big plays, and you can't play quarters all game, and so for us, never felt like that this fall. This fall camp felt like we can go back and forth from man to zones to quarters in situations where you needed it, right? Like if you're on a 3rd and 5, you don't want to be sitting in the zone. You got to start to get a little bit stickier. Are we playing quarters? We're playing man. Are we going to challenge for them to get a first down? Or are we going to just back up and give it to them? And so it all depends on your personnel. If you got a personnel out there that can't play it and you're doing it, well, that's your fault as the coordinator. But if you don't have the personnel and you're playing a little bit more of maybe a man scheme drop 8 or just a zone scheme drop 8, there's 50 million different ways to run drop 8. Now you're giving your guys an opportunity to maybe just keep things in front of you and just respond to the ball. And you don't want to be the corner out there that's just subpar covering skills, but your coordinator's asking you to play man the whole time, and everybody's beating on you like a drum, right? Like you're going to lose that corner. He's never going to want to play again, and he's going to want to switch positions. It's just there's a lot more that goes to calling it and creating schemes, and it just doing the thing that call the play that works all the time. Right? It's like, okay.
Yeah, good luck with that. That's the pursuit, right? How much Baylor footage are you watching for the USF game? Because Gary Bohannon played at Baylor versus the South Florida game, who you played last year, and it was this sneaky closer game than people remember.
Yeah, we've got we've watched probably not necessarily Baylor film for their schemes and all that stuff. More just we're looking specifically at him, his runs, his throws, what he's capable of doing, and all those things, and just trying to fit it into this scheme, which is completely different from Baylor's. It's more spread. It's a lot more run RPO stuff, and Baylor's just a little bit different.
What are you most excited about with the week and a half leading up to the first game that's different than, say, fall camp in terms of like the game prep mode that you go into as a defensive coordinator?
Yeah, was it yesterday? Yesterday was the first time that we broke up into scout teams, and so we hadn't been able to really put our game plan on film yet for us to say, okay, well, here are the spacing problems. This is going to be a problem. We need to address this. We need to address this. All those things you start to do when you break up into scout teams, and actually the scout team runs South Florida stuff, and you try to scheme things up as you're doing it. So yesterday was the first day that we were able to do that, and it was really fun, exciting, right? We're tired of playing each other and tired of calling scrimmages against Rod, ready to look at some other scheme, some other coordinator, and start scheming for that and preparing for it. But also it's just when you're going, your ones on ones all fall camp, your twos on twos all fall camp, it starts to get to a point where you're like, all right, we're getting closer to the game. Really don't want to get anybody hurt, right? When you got that much meat on the field between the ones and the twos going at it, I mean, you're more likely to get somebody hurt. And so now we've broken up, and it's a little bit more like scheme focused instead of just beating up on each other the whole time.
All the players talk about, hey, it's us versus them in offense, defense, right? Is that the case with the coaching staff too in fall camp? I've never asked this.
It's the case in other places that I've been. It's not really the case here. I feel like we've got a really cohesive staff. I mean, Coach Lamb is heavily involved with Kalani on game day with just management and just different ways that we do things. And so he's got to be involved with the offense. And that's what the game management comes down to. I mean, there's not much on defense that you can do besides, hey, let's see if we can get a stop and a takeaway here. Everything else is really guided by offense. And so because Coach Lamb's involved that way, I'm just a football nerd. And so I love learning about that stuff. And so I have conversations with them all the time, but also we talk all the time about just what the offense needs, what the defense needs, situations where we really need to be helping each other out and all that. And A-Rod's been awesome to work with because, he was my offensive coordinator when I played. And so I've got great respect for him. And he's a great mind, but also he's got no ego, right? And he's been awesome to work with. And so anything that we need, I mean, A-Rod's been great, and anything he needs, we want to make sure that we give for the offense so they can be successful as well.
Remind me, SUU?
SUU. Yep.
SUU. Were you and Fessy on the same team?
Me and Fessy played together. I was a senior when he was a freshman. Kalani was a running backs coach. A-Rod was a coordinator, offense coordinator, and Coach Clune was the linebackers coach.
How about that?
Yep.
Like when you played the Big Sky, I've tracked down and like most of the staff is coached at a Big Sky school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, that connection. When you guys play an FCS team, you've been there like as a player and or a coach, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's coach is coach. That's the thing. A lot of these young coaches get into the game and they're like, hey, man, when I'm done here, I really would like to, be a position coach at BYU. Like,
you're like, dude, you got to go to Tyler Junior College, Kyle Griffith.
Exactly.
Tanner,
you want to coach? Get out there and coach. There's no reason why you can't get out there. There's jobs out there. It's just coach is coach. Go find you a way to affect one of these kids' lives, in a positive way. So those opportunities are out there. Yeah. I'm glad, happy for Tanner and for Kyle going out and doing their thing.
Zach Erickson is Snow, now Jan, the DC, up as an analyst, which is awesome. Right. And real quick, I've had you forever. Thank you. Jan's influence on the defensive line this fall. How's it gone?
Yeah, he's been awesome. He was with me the first 2 years, 16 and 17. And so, he's gone out and he's tested his own theories. He's gone out and done his own development and, but he's come back and he knows the language that I've used. He knows the expectation. He brings new ideas. And so we talk a lot, about a lot of different things that he's tried or done throughout the years. And also he's just, he was, when he left, when he was done as a GA, I told myself, if I ever get a head job, I'm hiring Jan. Like I knew that he's a guy that I always wanted back. And so, when things opened up for us, we started to add more analysts. It was like a no-brainer. Okay, Jan's the first one on the docket. We can get him back. We bring him back. And so, in the new role that he's in, he's a lot more mature. It's probably a lot of the same way that I'm working with Kalani and A-Rod. It's Jan's coming in, and I see him as an equal. I see him as a guy that brings great ideas, but also just a guy that takes care of business and is really, really intelligent.
It was that MMA connection as well, right? You're like, I need someone else who relates to me.
That's right. That's I need somebody in this room that I can't beat up. I mean, come on.
Oh man. Well, we could have seen you at UFC in Salt Lake had you stuck with MMA perhaps, but over the weekend. But that was good. E, thanks for the time, man. Best of luck in the prep for USF.
All right, thank you.